Look at this. The new pub, my friend. The Beer Brackets pub has moved to a new and improved location. It might look a little similar, but I've got a lot more space here and a lot more room for beer meditation, buddy. Look at this.
It does look amazing, man, already. I can see you all stretching there. You're not doing any beer gymnastics. Like, to get in the set, you were just, like, walked into it. Like, I can already see the changes
right?
happening.
I could do, like, a full downward dog with a beer right now and just stretch out. It's perfect.
You're talking about beer yoga? Is that what we're talking about
yoga.
now?
Exactly. Welcome back to episode 2 of the Beer Explorers. And we could not get more epic than this. What a way to open the new Beer Brackets pub, my friend. To welcome me back to my hometown of Montreal. And I gotta tell you, my 2 beers that I have today, talk about a beer hunt. They are both themed to my now, once again, home province of Quebec. So that's just a little bit of foreshadowing. But you've been telling me for so long that you have amazing beers that you can't wait to show me. So buddy, what did the beer hunt, what gifts did the beer hunt produce for you? I can't wait to see. What are you opening your beer brackets with?
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, as always, for the kind and gentle introduction. You're a gentleman and a scholar, as always. I appreciate that. But let me tell you about the story here about my beer hunt. There's an overarching theme, as I always try to find. But this one here was almost like natural, because I walked in the store with the purpose of the beer hunt, right? Like, so I started cruising the shelves, like trying to figure out what to pick, what treasures were hiding there in the store.
Yes.
Exactly. And I'm going to start with this one because this is the order in which I found them. The excitement just like built from there. So we're going to start with the first one, when I saw was like, oh, wow, like this one here. I had seen it on the shelves before, but a very long time ago. And I was excited to see it back because it's a beer that I've never tried before and I've been wanting to try.
The beer anticipation is killing me, man.
Exactly. We've been featuring on the channel like in some form before, but...
What?
The beer is...
What is it?
La Trappe the Quad, my friend. Wow. And I'll tell you, I was so excited because you can tell usually by the label is very distinctive. Like it's easy to recognize. Each variation has a different letter, obviously the Q for quad, and it has a different color. So when I saw the purple off the label, I could see it far. I could see it from afar.
It's like reminiscent of a ghost beer. Of like the Spencer Brewery.
Exactly. Exactly, my friend. So I saw it and I knew what it was. I said, let me just make sure. So I got closer and closer. I said, yes, that's what it is. So I grabbed it and I read a little bit. I knew a little bit about it, but I just want to point 2 things out here that I read on the label because they're very interesting. The age-old principle of brewing the beer result in a fair, authentic ale with a rich history of blissful silence and a taste like no other.
Trappist ale is beer with a heart. La Trappe is not just beer. La Trappe is the beer of work and prayer, the beer of the silence.
Taste the silence.
It's like you're reading a beer poem to me right now. It's just meditative.
Right? And that's kind of like the experience. I'm trying to get you there in the store with me. I got the bottle, like I read the label, and I was like, this is what's going to happen. So.
And I can't wait to see that. You know what I love about you reading this beer poetry to me? One of our subscribers, I'm assuming they're a subscriber, but they posted that we're like the Bob Ross of beer, right? Which I thought was the most...
Yes, that's right.
I thought it was the most fantastic comment that we've ever gotten. That was just beautiful.
I agree.
And you reading me that beer poetry, my friend, just made me think of that. It's a beer literary experience. It is. It's fantastic.
I'm happy that, and I'm glad that you pointed that out about Bob Ross. I agree. I love reading that comment. It's fitting. It's beer poetry time. We could have that as a moment.
Exactly. In the world of beer brackets of the month, we had a little bit of a beer choose your own adventure before, but I'm going to let you choose your own beer adventure or choose my beer adventure from this point, my friend.
Okay.
Because doing my beer hunt now, back in my hometown of Montreal, moving back here from Hamilton, I saw a beautiful thing on the shelf the other day in the store, in my local grocery store here.
All right.
And I had to pick this up, my friend. I'll show you something. from one of my favorite breweries, Unibroue. It is one of their mix packs.
Oh,
Now,
look at
in
that.
this mix pack, there are 4 different beers. There are 2 beers that we've already reviewed. There's the Trappist and there is La Fin du Monde.
Delicious.
Right? So we've already reviewed
Wonderful.
those beers. There's 2 beers that we have not talked about on the channel yet, my friend. There is the Maudite, inspired by a Trappist double. And there is the Eau Bénite, which is inspired by a Trappist triple, just like the Fin du Monde. So, my friend, I will let you decide which of these 2 beers I am opening my beer brackets with. Will it be the fiery Maudite, or will it be the Eau Bénite triple?
So, you know what, my friend? Given that I've chosen a quad, I think that I am going to go with the double inspired, my friend, if I may, because I think like the descriptors like will lead us in the right direction of our beer journey here.
I was
if I
hoping
may.
you were going to choose the double. And I will tell you why, because there is a fantastic legend associated with this beer.
See, I could smell it even if the beer is not even open.
Same beer wavelengths, my friend. Same beer wavelengths. Let's pour these beers out, and then I'll tell you about this legend.
What a better way to start than like choosing and hearing all this anticipation. It's amazing, man. Like and an unpacking, a live unpacking.
A live unpacking.
I love it.
Right? And I just love their cans, like their new branding and packaging they've done, like the Trappist here. The can is
Look
just
at that, man.
so beautiful.
That's awesome.
Fantastic.
I love that they kept the drawing because that's honestly one of the most beautiful things that when I think about the Trappist specifically,
Yeah.
and also La Fin du Monde, like I
horse,
think
the
about
black
the
horse.
drawing that it has. Yes,
And that black horse is still in
exactly.
our banner on YouTube, if you're wondering what that was.
That's
up there,
it.
just
That's
flying.
It's right there.
Flying above the beer brackets universe. And of course, the Maudite is right at the bottom of the case. I'm going to have to do some
course,
beer
man,
digging,
like
my
it's-
friend.
it's-
Ha
Look, I'm gonna wait for you to open because you gotta have your. There it is. Maudite.
This is going to be, let's pour these beers out, buddy.
Let's do it, my friend.
Oh, that smells like a double.
This is our legendary Maudite. With its 8% alcohol by volume, our re-fermented Maudite is inspired by Abbey-style double ales.
What's the smell? Oh yes.
Oh, that smells fantastic. What a delicious smelling beer.
Wow.
Yep, that smells a lot, actually, like the Pater 6. So, my friend-
I'm lost
oh,
here for a second. I got lost for a second in the beer.
I
Sorry.
can't wait to hear about it. I can't wait to hear about it. So, I'll tell you this legend really quickly, okay? And then we're going to get into these beers. So, you see on the artwork of this can, there's a bunch of men in a canoe, in a flying canoe with the devil overlooking them. So,
Okay.
right, yeah. So the legend of the flying devil canoe, my friend. There was a group of men working on a logging site, right? Deep in the forest, deep in the beer forests of Quebec.
The legendary Maudite, which means the damned, is brewed in honor of a few courageous men who once made a pact with the devil.
And they worked a long, hard day. And they missed their women. And they're like, you know what? We need to visit our women. And they'd been drinking all day while logging, apparently. And they were like, drunkenly, we want to go visit our women. They were hundreds of miles away from where their women were, just off on the work site. And so one of them thought, we can make a deal with the devil to fly through the skies and travel at extremely high speeds. So they got in their canoe and they made a deal with the devil to basically send them as quickly as possible to where the women were hundreds of miles away in a flying canoe. But the deal was that they couldn't drink while on the canoe, and they couldn't take the Lord's name in vain. So legend says, my friend, that they were flying through the skies, even over the city of Montreal, the bright lights of Montreal, just avoiding church steeples and avoiding big buildings. Finally made it, and they partied all night, and of course they drank all night, which was against the rules. So they were a little bit drunk flying back to their site, back to their work site at the end of the night. And they crashed because the pilot, the one steering the canoe, had been drinking all night. And he took the Lord's name in vain, and he swore, and he said, Maudite, which is a French swear word. And they were cursed to forever fly their canoe through the night sky. Forever and ever and ever. And apparently, in New Year's Eve, you can look in the sky and see the cursed drinking canoemen flying through the sky.
I mean, that is a fantastic legend, my friend, from start to end. Like I was like, just couldn't stop listening. It's amazing. That's so awesome. Like I love that you found it, and I love that you told it so beautifully. Cheers to you, my friend. Cheers to you.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I like this one. I like this one a lot.
Tell me, how is that one?
Man, like this is amazing. First of all, it's 10%. As you can see from the color for a quad, it's almost a little bit on the light side. I don't know if you can see it up here. I'm going to show you.
Oh, right. Yeah, it
And,
looks like it's on the light side.
Yeah?
Wasn't expecting that.
Very on the light side.
Yeah.
Very, very clear. It has nice carbonation. Now it died down a little bit. Very lively carbonated.
Yeah.
Mouthfeel is extremely fluffy. Aromas are mostly on the banana clove. There's loads of dried fruit. I'd say mostly almonds on the nose.
Ooh, that
And
sounds
then you
delicious.
take a sip, and it has this beautiful marzipan
Really?
kind of like, yeah, it's marzipan with a little hint of banana in the end, and then it just hits with those like dark fruits, almost like black currant, dark cherry. In the end is delicious. It's absolutely amazing.
Oh,
If
wow.
we can find it, this would be a great one to review together.
That sounds
Tell me
amazing.
about yours, man. Like how does that devilish double taste like?
It's delicious. There's like hints of very, very malty, of course, dark, toasty bread. There's a hint of orange in there too, which is really nice. That wasn't something I was expecting. It even says on the back of the can now. Scent of spice, orange, and malt. There's definitely a spiciness to it too. Not hot spicy, of course, but more of like a floral, aromatic kind of spiciness, which is delicious. It's really highly carbonated, really, really sharp. But you get these nice, deep tones that I just mentioned in there too. Like even a little bit of chocolate, milk chocolate you can pull out of there. This is absolutely delicious. The aroma's fantastic. It smells like, if you remember, I guess I haven't had too many Trappist doubles, and maybe this is the classic sort of, I'm basing this off the Pater 6, the St. Bernardus one. That's probably the main double that I've had that I can at least recall. And it's very similar. Like if I didn't know any better, I would say that it's very much inspired by even that particular beer. And if you remember that one, like there's almost like a caramelized malty aroma. Caramel, not caramel.
Yeah.
Caramel.
Caramel.
Yeah. This beer is fantastic, my friend.
Oh, so glad to hear that, man. So glad to hear that. That's a cool legend. I love the anticipation of it that explains it, and then that those men like that were out there working, like they made this deal, and somehow got transported. Like it's fascinating. Like they should make a movie out of it. I think like it really has like this cool plot of things that happen, and then like it all ends like in a tragedy.
They should.
Tragedy way.
They should make
They should.
drunken canoemen. Just trying to go see their ladies.
Right.
on New Year's
right,
Eve.
right. And-
Yeah.
Well, at least it happened on the way back and not on the way there. That would have
Right.
been
At least
a
they
real
got there. At least they
tragedy.
got to party with their lady friends. I just love, man, Unibroue, all their beers. Not only is the quality fantastic, but I love that they take time, which is something that you and I appreciate. They take the time to have a story behind their beers, and it's all based on like the Trappist, based on actual Quebec legend, like urban legends from different
That's
areas and different townships. It's so appreciative. Like it's the little details with beer that make all the difference.
Yeah, it does. And, think about it from just the perspective also of not only the beer is delicious, but having that legend connected to me, luckily I know you and, we have a connection. So we've talked about Montreal like before, but like,
Yeah.
if I were somewhere else in the world and I were to pick up like that beer and I were to go and read about it, I would get somehow of a connection a little bit through that legend. And I think that's a unique way of also traveling a little bit. It makes you more connected to the city,
Right.
and gives you a little bit of a connection with the background of the people that live there.
Totally, man, 100%. And that's what makes the beer hunt. One of the things that makes the beer hunt so fun, Beer Explorer series, we like to talk about the beer hunt. It's like if you can find a beer like this from a certain place that has this kind of story behind it, it sort of like places you in time in a certain location and just gives context to the beer in that sense. It's like you said, it's like
Yes.
traveling, and it just makes the whole beer experience so much more enjoyable. So how are you, that beer,
That's
it's been
great.
open for about 10 minutes now. Now that it's had time
Yeah.
to breathe a little bit, is the aroma still strong on that one?
It's not stopping.
It's not
It just
stopping?
like gets more complex, more and more complex.
Wow.
I read a little bit online that people also like age it, the quad specifically, and they say that the more you, the small bottles, like this one here that I'm drinking right now, the more it ages and the more it turns into port-like.
Really?
With the characteristics. Yeah, so that would be something interesting. What's shocking is that there's no, I mean, it's 10%, but it really does not feel like 10%.
Yeah.
That's always like a very good indication that the beer is well brewed.
Right.
But then on top, you have all those beautiful tastes and aromas that are mingling together. They're not overpowering, and you can taste everything. And the more you drink it, actually, the more you're invited into the glass. So it's not like there's
Invited
nothing
right in.
tiring about it. Yeah, it's like it's calling back.
Oh, I love
Calling
it.
back here.
I love it,
But
man.
one thing that I wanted to say, my friend, because I read this on the back of the label again, like this endless source of information, which I haven't had time to verify. I will be honest,
It's an endless
but
source
I
of
thought it was
information.
curious.
I love that.
It seems to be on some beers, especially.
Every time you look at it,
But
there's
it
more
says here-
information.
Exactly. It depends on what time of the night it is. You might find some information also in the numbers that are there. What it says.
The never-ending
but what it
beer
says
label
here,
just keeps producing more and more information.
yeah, it's just like it's a magical scroll. It just
Exactly. It's a magical
changes.
beer scroll just printed onto the bottle there.
It's the wizards, like the beer wizards. They know what they're doing. It says here, and you might help me interpret this since I'm not native speaking in English, but it says La Trappe Quadrupel is the heaviest of all the La Trappe Trappist ales. And it says, and it is also the source for the name of this style.
Really?
The way I interpret it is that this seems to be like probably the first one that was actually called quadruple.
Wow.
But I don't know. I did not know this, so it's something that might need some further digging. Like I tried to look, I didn't find like anything specific. Like for example, with the triple, I know for a fact that it's West Mall, the first Trappist brewery that actually started with that style. I just thought I would mention it because it's interesting. Aside the fact that obviously you've said this before on the channel, it's the only Trappist brewery in the Netherlands, which
Yes.
is also something interesting.
Their triple is absolutely fantastic.
We should review
I had that
my
on
friend.
one of the early Beer Bracket of the Month episodes.
Yes.
And I still dream of that beer. That beer was so unbelievably good. We need to do a
Right.
full review of some La Trappe beers at some point. My friend, if there's anything else you'd like to say about that beer, speak now or forever hold your peace, because I feel like we need to move on to our...
I think it's time, my friend. I think anything else will be saved for the potential review because I
Yes.
think that this might be
I
coming
love it.
up for a certain point. So
I
I think
love
it's
it.
a good stopping point.
What a fantastic opening beer, man. That was such a great choice.
But likewise, man. Like I love you with your build your own beer adventure. What better could it have been? Like here.
What are you closing
right one.
your beer brackets with today?
Ooh, now. Now, my friend, let me switch these. Don't worry, the beer will be drank. So, my friend, back to the beer hunt in the store.
Yes.
So I've acquired my quad that I've never had. So I'm excited. I'm glad, and I start cruising down the aisle looking for more treasures because I need a closing beer.
You're on the hunt going down that
So-
beer aisle wearing your beer camouflage.
Exactly. And hiding in between the shelves, like waiting. But here's what happened. The funny thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna explain this because it's important for this that is coming next.
The anticipation's
I
killing
had
me. Come on.
received a newsletter from a brewery, and I was looking through it, and I said, "Oh man, like this is so amazing." But there's no way these are ever gonna come here. Like there's no way, no possibility.
Okay.
And then, sure enough, I start walking, look up on the top shelf, and I see this beer that we've talked about before. But then there's this new label that appeared next to it, and I say, no, this is impossible.
What?
And the light like just shines through to it, and I just go and I grab it, and it's real, my friend. It's real.
It's real. What is it?
The beer is the Echt Schlenkerla, the Rachbier, and but specifically the beer is called like Echt Schlenkerla. I'm gonna butcher this Weichsel, which is a special edition that they've started brewing recently, and they had announced what this beer is a red beer, a Rachbier. That's the German word for that. but it's smoked not with the classic beech wood. It smoked with cherry wood.
With what wood?
And this is with cherry wood. I saw it and I thought, like, I received it in the newsletter and I thought, oh, this is gonna taste amazing, but I'm never gonna be able to try it. Of course I have it. I guess I gotta receive it. I gotta receive it. And then I saw it on the shelf, my friend.
That's okay. There's so many facts about you that I learn. We've known each other for so long and we talk all the time, but there's things that I learn about you as our friendship progresses that I just love. These things pop up that just make me appreciate you so much more. And the fact that you're subscribed to the Schlenkerla newsletter and that you read it attentively is just like, it's fantastic. I love it.
Well, my friend, like the thing is that it's almost like a sort of torture, because most of the stuff that comes in the newsletter is not stuff that, you can get. But to me, it's like, especially since after we met Matthias, like, it almost feels like there's a little bit more of a connection. And the fact that style has been like around for so long, like to me has always been like interesting just to read about, like, and then, apparently recently they've, started like carrying a little bit more of their products, which, this, I was literally shocked when I found it. I said, like, I can't believe it.
Well, I don't even know. I'm at a loss for words right now, because not only does that beer sound absolutely fantastic, and I've never heard about it, and I cannot wait to hear you tell me about this. I'm beer flabbergasted, my friend. And I got to tell everybody at home, like, we don't plan these things. Okay. We come into these episodes. There's very little preparation that goes into these episodes. We pop on here. All we know is that we're opening and closing our beer brackets. Everything's a surprise. And things like this happen where the beer universes just intertwine and the beer wavelengths are the same. And I'm legitimately just shocked, because I don't, and you'll see why in a second. So if anybody watched our live last week, I drank a beer from a brewery here in Montreal called Yeux de Ciel. That was a Rachbier inspired by, without naming them directly, it said it was inspired by traditional German smoked beers, which means Schlenkerla. There's a smaller brewery that has kind of like a bar, microbrewery restaurant in Montreal here in a neighborhood called Milex. Kind of like near where you stayed when you came to visit me, my friend, like around Little Italy.
Yeah.
On Jean Talon Street, which you got to hang out on a lot. And they have a great little brew pub restaurant there called Harricana. And I popped into there because I know that they can their beers and they sell some of them. So I wanted to pick some of them up. And I got one beer, is a Rachbier, my friend. And so we're somehow both closing our beer brackets with smoked Rachbiers. I'm really shocked, man. I don't know what to say. It's kind of unbelievable, but
it's
we both chose like very particular. Like, you chose a Schlenkerla beer, and I chose a beer that's directly inspired by Schlenkerla. So from Harricana, Brasserie Harricana, on Jean Talon in Milex neighborhood in Montreal. They're 66, as they call it, their Rachbier. Bière forte, strong beer. A red beer smoked in the traditional German method with a round texture, supported by aromas of smoked wood, sugar, and grilled bread. Buddy, let's pour these beers out and let us partake in these delicious, delicious ales.
Let's do it, my friend. So I do have a couple of facts to tell you about this beer.
I can't wait to hear it, man.
But let's pour them first out, because I think that's...
Oh, man, just cracking this. And the same with the Yeux de Ciel. I'm actually very impressed, because we've talked about this before, how with smoked beers, a lot of times with microbreweries, if they're going that route, they'll just import in smoked malts, right? Like, they won't actually be smoking them on their end. And the ones that I've had, the aroma wasn't as potent. But with this one and the one from Yeux de Ciel that I've had on the live, it's actually like... This one is closer to Schlenkerla levels. The Yeux de Ciel was actually a little bit more mild. This is intensely bacony and meaty.
That's awesome.
Oh, what's that one like, man?
So... The beauty of Schlenkerla is that they have a very unique signature. Very, very unique.
Yeah.
But this is probably the most unique beers that I've had from them, because it has the classic smoked profile that you described, but the bacon and the meaty components is toned down a lot.
Okay.
And there's more of a floral, fruity, almost like if you had been thrown on an open fire some fresh fruit or something that like produces like an extremely high aromatic note.
Wow.
Maybe leaves or something like that really has like a very highly aromatic note. It's extremely inviting, man. Like, I can't wait to try this one. And look at the color. Like, it's beautiful red color.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Are you getting any, like, I know it's smoked with cherry wood, so you're not necessarily going to get cherry flavors, of course, but are you noticing anything a little bit different?
It has a bit of a fruity note. I might be imagining
So it actually does have a little bit. Yeah, you think that's something that you're imagining because of the whole cherry wood thing, or do you think that's
it could be, but it has more of a sweet note. Let's call it that. Like, I think that's more fair. Like, more on the sweet side versus like less savory, way less savory than their regular offering.
Well, cheers, buddy. Let's take some sips of these beers.
Cheers, my friend.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
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 This is really good.
Tell me about it, man. Like, I can't wait to hear it.
Well, you're the one with the new Schlenkerla beer. I want to hear about that.
Do you want? Should I start? Okay.
I think you should start, man. That is an epic beer that you have over there. Tell me.
I am flabbergasted for the second time here because I gotta say, let me take another sip. Like, this is how good this is. So this is, like I mentioned before, it's a Rachbier, which is a red beer, which reading on their website is apparently a style that started being introduced in the town of Nürnberg, then got like a little bit out of fashion, got replaced by the brown beers that eventually turned into like a different style. But it got revived like towards the end of the 90s, and Schlenker has decided to bring it back. But their difference is that obviously they smoke the red beer and the initial malt using the cherry wood. What's incredible about this is that compared to the other Schlenkerla beers, like, there's way less richness. It's way lighter on the mouthfeel. Extremely drinkable. It has a very lively carbonation, very delicious, like, smoky notes, but they're not as prominent. The fruit forwardness that I was talking about, or aromatic, like, comes across even more when you take a sip of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to better describe it, but there's almost like a finish that resembles a little bit of an Irish red, probably because it's a red in style. Like, so there's definitely some similarities there.
Nice.
But it's weird because it is almost like it starts like a classic Schlenkerla on the nose.
Yeah.
Then you start smelling those interesting, sweet, very aromatic notes. Then you take a sip and it turns into this completely different thing. And then at the very end, when you're done tasting it, you just breathe in and you smell, oh, there you go. There's the Schlenkerla again with those nice, like, beautiful aromatic notes. It's a feast, my friend. Like, it's like being at a banquet where they come like an entree and then now like the dessert and now like everything all in one.
Oh, it's a beer feast.
It's amazing. It's a beer feast, yes. Tell me about yours, my friend. Like, I can't wait to hear it.
This is really fascinating to me because I don't know if this is something that's a trend now. Have you seen this, like other microbreweries where you are doing Rachbiers? Because this is the second one now that I found since moving back here that actually made one. And I'd never seen these outside of Schlenkerla before.
I've seen a couple here in Tampa that have done some experiments with them. I don't know what malts they use. My guess is that they were just imported and so on. I don't think they smoked them in-house. But to be honest with you, they weren't particularly impressive. Like, I mean, they were okay.
Right, exactly.
Interesting. Having had Schlenkerla, it's like, okay, well, if I can choose, I'll rather drink Schlenkerla, like having the option, right?
Totally. And what's impressive about this is that the beers that I've had up to now that are kind of similar to this were just, they called them smoked beer. Like, it didn't use the term Rachbier.
Yeah, okay.
So there's actually, the first live that we did, I drank a smoked beer from this microbrewery called Church Key Brewing in Ontario. And it was a smoked beer. It said on the back that they imported these smoked malts, so on and so forth, which I'm sure these do too. I'm sure they're not smoking their own malts because I know that they just brew in this little microbrewery on Chantalon Street here in Montreal. They're not roasting malts over an open fire and smoking them. I'm sure about that, so I'm sure but there's a quality to this. And the fact that they use the word Rachbier and it says that they're inspired by traditional German smoked beer techniques, and the one from Zero to Ciel did as well. And it has so much more, it's so much closer, let's say like the Schlenkerla Marzen, than anything I've had before outside of the Schlenkerla Marzen. If you've had the Schlenkerla before, it's a lot thicker than these. It's a bit more, I'm tempted to say like it's just got a thicker body, slightly more
Yes.
syrupy. It's like and the flavors are a lot more intense. Still balanced, but very, very intense. These are like ales, they're like red ales, so a little bit lighter in body, but that still have just like the Schlenkerla Marzen characteristics, but at 75-80%. Similar aromas, very bacony, very savory. It's a little bit more sharply carbonated, a little bit lighter. And like you're describing yours, like you said, a little bit more like an Irish red. Traditional red characteristics that are coming through as opposed to like the Schlenkerla Marzen, for example, which is my main reference point for them. So it keeps going back to that for me, but still quality level compared to the other smoked beers that I've had. Top notch. This is unbelievable. I'm so happy that I can get this here because I've never seen any Schlenkerla beers available in Quebec. I was only able to get the Marzen in Ontario, so this is fantastic that I can get this here. Super, super high quality. But I'm curious if anybody knows. Put in the comments down below. Like this is the actual Rachbier style now. This is again 2 very trendy microbreweries here in Montreal that I've seen now that are producing this style and doing it very well. And so I hope this is something that is coming into fashion. I really do hope because this is beautifully done. I hope this is a trend. I really, really hope this is a trend. This is delicious.
I hope so too. I really hope so too, because funny enough, again, it looks like we picked 2 beers and somehow or have similarities also in the taste, the way that we both described them. But regardless, it's incredible how much within even the the smoked beer realm, how much of a variation that can be. And I think this one here in particular, even more so than some of the other of the Schlenkerla family, it's really showcasing how strong of a difference and how much of a different notes you can hit depending on what and how you play with your ingredients. One thing that I wanted to mention just as an appetizer for potential future, unfortunately, that another beer that was mentioned on the newsletter that I haven't seen yet, but maybe will come in the future. But just to make everybody, feel the same pain than I do, unless you live in Germany. In that case, like just go, or in Europe, because I think they ship in Europe. They have a Schwarzbier, my friend. A dark lager.
Really?
A dark lager. Yes, smoked with a different type of wood.
Oh my
God. Now I can't recall. They have a Schwarzlager, man. Like they do. So I'm just throwing it out there. Like if anybody is in Germany or in Europe and they can get it and try it, like let us know down below. Like what do you guys think about it? Because this is amazing.
Oh my God, man. Schlenkerla. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Let us know down below what you think of these beers. Have you had anything similar to any of these beers that we've presented today? Have you tried the Trappe Quad? The Schlenkerla? Alessandro, I'm so jealous. You got to have that today. The Cherrywood Schlenkerla. As always, let us know about your beer exploration journeys. What are some beers that you've found that you're really happy about and can't wait to try?
Tell
you
us
might
your
be keeping in
story.
your beer cellar. Let us know down below.
And no matter what, don't forget to close.
Never. Close with a Rachbier, like we both did somehow. Weird.
It's important.